Alright, welcome back to Torment, Tides of Ranmenera. We died. We actually succeeded in getting someone to kill us, and in doing so, get taken to here. If you die in, the streets of Sagus Cliffs, you get taken to the Dendro. And there's an opportunity here that only happens if you die, and I really wanted to get it, which is why, last time round, I deliberately fought a martial artist to the death and then didn't actually try and win the final round, which is the actual deadly round. And then, for those of you that missed it, we also, when we went into our mind, were able to fight some of the sorrow off. And that was all pretty cool. So now we've done that, we're back here. And we've just woken up. Despite the glare of the dim candles, which seem, at least momentarily, as bright as sunlight, you see a cluster of robed figures. Only Mbitu remains where he was, clasping his hands together with unfiltered delight, his teeth brown and jagged. "I knew you were special," he whispers. "So many eyes have settled on that face, moving through the crowds, chin high and proud, sunlight kissing that wonderful tattoo." He reaches out a trembling finger towards it. "Let him trace your tattoo." His feverish skin traces over yours, leaving a burning trail, and he smiles. "I'm afraid I must ask you for a simply unthinkable favor. You may have suspected that we were going to eat you," he says, raising a burning finger. "This is somewhat true, but only so the wonders of your life wouldn't be lost." He looks down bashfully. "Now that we know you cannot die, well, would you do the honors of letting us eat you? Just a little bit. If you do, we will share some of our deepest mysteries, and yours with you. We'll pay you, of course." "Sharing knowledge? Yes, go ahead." Matkina folds her arms, an unreadable expression in her eyes. Oh, awesome. That even gives you an achievement. Just a taste. Mbitu and his followers lean over you in well-orchestrated unison, cutting slits in your flesh. Hoses dangle from their wrists, leading into their suits. They snake, seemingly of their own accord, into your incisions. For a moment, nothing happens. Then you hear a faint whirring as spinning blades grind your organs and suck the pulp through the hoses. Someone is screaming, and you have a fairly good idea who. Eventually, mercifully, you die. After an indefinite period of time, you open your eyes and Mbitu sits beside you reading a book. "Ah, welcome back. What an exquisite experience that was, though I'm certain you don't need to hear about it while you're waking up." He beams. "At any rate, I took the special liberty of adding a token of our gratitude to your belongings. Do come speak to me whenever you're ready to discuss what we learnt from our little feast." So this is an ornament artifact. When hit with a melee attack, it deals an extra point of damage and confers bleeding to the attacker. This charm was given to you by Mbitu in gratitude for letting the Dendro consume you. It's shaped like a sprig, but it's made from bone fragments and viscera that were harvested from your body. While disgusting, it displays a level of loving craftsmanship. The ornament has been imbued with mystic properties known only to the Dendro and acts as a ward against attacks. Delightful. Now, if you happen to have another semi-fatal accident, rest assured we'll bear you back to the chapel as tenderly as a bag of baby birds. And you have my word, we won't take so much as a nibble without your permission. One other thing, you are in our chapel in the underbelly. If you still wish to find the cult of the Changing God, you'll find them in Circus Minus. Cross the main cavern of the underbelly and take the tunnel to the far side. Apologies for eavesdropping on your plans, but our meal was quite informative. Let's get out of here before you decide to be dinner again. That was really careless of you. Mbitu. It was Kiatawa. She fled just before Folsom's and Foss's arrived. I should have known. I wish I'd known. She tasted of fear and sorrow, but never of rage. Never that kind of hunger. How do you think she discovered the Endless Gate? We were so proud. We chased the children of the Endless Gate from Sagus, never considering they might bear grudges, that they might return. There's a sickness in them, a contagious one. I can only imagine that one of them returned to Sagus Cliffs and died here, perhaps on purpose. Kiatawa discovered the corpse and devoured it, and heard a song that spills from the Endless Gate. What did you learn from eating my flesh? Quite a bit, he says, then grimaces. Too much, in fact. Your immortal flesh proved slightly too rich for some of my children. I have quite a bit more experience and fortitude than them, however. For me, it's merely overwhelming rather than explosive. I shall endeavour to tell you what I have learned, but I fear it shall not be as clear as you would hope. It takes a while to digest. He stifles a giggle. The information contained in just one life. Your body contained countless wonders. We will be decades absorbing them all. In other words, my interpretations may sound somewhat unfinished, unclear, mystical. He pronounces the last word with distaste. But I would happily share these visions with you. Merely ask. Share a vision with me. Of course, he says, and closes his eyes. Teetering gently, he draws a long, smooth breath. He hates the bed, this prison that holds her. He growls, and the voice is scarcely his own. His cheerful brow contorts. He swears words in tearful haste, and wears them like jewels in a crown for centuries, even long after they've lost their luster and their purpose. Imbitu opens his eyes. Didn't hear a word of it, but it felt fascinating. I hope it was helpful. And do come back if you want to hear more. Yeah, I do want to hear more. We'll just do this for a little while. Imbitu closes his eyes and begins to speak. He regrets the first one he leaves behind. The next, less so. Soon they are falling like leaves to be crunched underfoot, and by then he has begun telling himself it's not only necessary, but good. That's it for now, I'm afraid. And another? He closes his eyes. Each year brings him closer to his goals. Each year brings her closer to him. Her of the long arms and the bruised blood, her that loved the tides first and holds dominion over them, her that hollows, burns, and kills. Her breath is on your neck. The long race is done, and you have lost. It wasn't of any help. It certainly felt dire. I do hope it wasn't bad news. I'm afraid the visions get rather more fragmented from here. Share another. Doors, 3 doors, all of them belong to your greatest enemies. Gather the ones he scattered, gather the seeds and the husks. You will never see every level of the labyrinth, and that is good. That's everything. That's it. Everything else is a muddle for now. You can come back in, say, a year or so? Sure. Farewell, and take great care. What happens if I talk to these guys about it? Huh, you should have seen Kyoto running out of here just before Folsom's people came. Thought she was so clever. Better than the rest of us, but she wasn't smarter than you, yeah? Farewell. Why did you join? Don't care. Not what I was after. We welcome you back, tenderling, she croons as if singing to a tasty child. What did you gain from eating me? Oh, she says, clasping her clawed hands together. Oh, tenderling, such sweetness, flesh like fatty silk, supple muscle, secrets that crunch between the teeth. She chuckles shyly and pats her belly. We could not keep you in. But you are here again, and you are whole. She shakes her head. Such a miracle. Looking down, she chews her lip. We are working on making our way home. A new portal. If we do, we want to take you with us. Your soft, regrowing flesh can change our world. Gone can be wars of feasting. Gone can be the cries of hungry tenderlings, sucking on jagged bones for marrow. Her tone is wistful. Her eyes, when she raises them, are sly. Are there others like you, anywhere at all? No, I'm the only one. We are sad to hear this, he says, though you don't detect the emotion on her leering face. Instead, she appears to be drooling. But consider coming home with us. Know that we can offer you an adventure. A soft bed in a warm place, a way to change our world. She wipes the saliva from her chin and waves a dismissive claw. Not yet, we don't know a home, but we can find one if we try. I'm getting out of here. Like, right now. No. Okay. What do we have left? I want to talk to Aiden.
Yes.
Because, you know, he's around. And I want to do the suicide cliff, which will probably take us straight back to where we came from, to be fair. But I still want to do it. And then we should leave Sega's Cliffs. And by Aiden, I mean the guy that kicked us to death. To be fair, you know, we asked for it, literally. And it coincided with my goals. So, not complaining. He's moving through a complex set of parries and sweeping attacks as you approach. Midway through a leaping kick, he catches sight of you, and his eyes bulge. Then he tumbles to the ground like a tangled ball of twigs and string. For a second longer, he gapes at you through an arched elbow, then he chuckles. You're better than me after all. I may have killed you, but you've defeated death. I must remember, if I can be altered by Numenera, so can my opponent. I'm feeling better. Do you want to duel again? The woman who cannot die wants to die to fight to the death, he says, chuckling again. When I'm tired of life, I'll challenge you, but that time's not yet come. Take this instead as a gift from one master to another. It's a piece of my shelter, knocked from the walls during an earthquake. It'll not make you as fast as I am, but it will perhaps give you an edge when you need it most. So this gives us... Yep, that's pretty neat. It's a jewelry made entirely of small gears and clockwork of amethyst. Its ticking resembles a small heartbeat. If its gears are halted, the mechanized body flies, the small mechanized heart flies apart, unleashing its energizing power into the nearest body. That is cool. Farewell. So, you, little one. I did give you these things. Strange that I then didn't get an opportunity to use them. Anyway. Alright, yes, so the ciphers actually do go into these slots. Cool. And you can see that we are rapidly approaching our cipher limit. That's fine. This is an ornament. We've already got an ornament. I think everyone's got an ornament. If I were to drop this, it doesn't actually impact our cipher limit. Okay. Alright, there we go. Now we got the impact. Yeah, I think this works. Might as well. Okay, right. Cool. That was really neat. I mean, the value of failure, it's one of the things that I've kind of been missing out on by literally succeeding at nearly every task. This game has consequences for failure which are not always bad. Right? Letting him kill us gave us new opportunities and gave us new interactions.
Into the cliffs?
No. You see,
okay.
I skillfully stopped the airship with the ground. Why am I explaining this to you?
Because I asked?
Well,
it's a good interaction. Okay, now, next step. Suicide Cave. Final words of countless people.
Action!
Let's leave this way. The final words, yep, we already had that. Oh, sweet, this is like...
You want it done right.
We want it done right, yes. So, what happens if I touch over here? From this height, you can see everything. Beyond the city of Sagus cliffs, bluffs and chasms extend towards the horizon. On either side, for at least 50 kilometers, the sea stretches between them, perhaps 20 kilometers across at its widest. Then the waters widen and swallow the horizon. Look down. The tiers of Sagus cliffs spread out to your right, a jumble of streets and buildings. To the left is an opening of a dark chasm. Tendrils of flesh cling to the edges like vines. The ocean lies almost 1,000 meters below you, dark and dangerous. Scavenging and fishing sloops crawl slowly across its surface. The rooftops of a few Sagus homes jut from the cliff surface, but it's mostly a clear drop to the sea. You realize you're standing in a shallow depression worn away by more than just the weather. The ground and lip of the ledge are once smooth from human traffic. Thousands must have come here over the centuries looking at the sea and contemplating their own demise. Okay, so I want to see... So there's 3 points. They all do the same thing? Yeah, okay. I think it's safe to say they do. It looks like I bugged the engine a little with that. Let's go up. A sheer cliff rises above the ledge. Its surface is rough and jagged. There are enough handholds it looks climbable, but it won't be easy. Eridus. Matt Keener. There we go. Climb up for us, right? Cliff face is deceptive. Holds look like they'll crumble in your hand, stay firm, while solid-looking protrusions crumble like they were made of sand. With careful planning, though, you make it all the way to the top. Or Matt Keener does, and then helps us up, I guess. Okay. A welcome blast of wind caresses your face at the cliff top. Your companions follow the path Matt Keener blazed for them. It's a real pity that they don't even vaguely adjust these things.
All right.
Most of the clip top is obscured by a dome of energy. When you get close to it, the air hums and your hair stands on end. Let's try and see what's in the dome. The air sizzles as you get closer, popping across your skin like invisible jumping beetles. When you're within arm's reach, a control interface appears in the air in front of you. There's a glowing circle with strange symbols floating at the edges and a vertical bar next to it. When you step back again, the interface disappears. Whatever energy forms this dome, it's completely opaque. You can't see anything through it. Oddly though, you can still see the shadows of cliffs and birds on the other side. Study the interface. The circle is likely a place to put one's hand or face, probably the former, since the heat from the dome might burn your face. Presumably, someone with proper authority could open the dome by using the holographic bar on the side as a kind of latch. The symbols around the circle are unfamiliar, suggest this installation is very old, perhaps predating the truth. Whoever created this dome then wanted to keep whatever was inside a secret from anyone except those to they've given access. Let's try to use the interface. As soon as you place your hand in the circle, the symbols light up and spin rapidly. Apparently you have the authority to enter. You slide your other hand up on the bar on the side. The interface disappears. The air cools immediately and the dome fades until it is gone entirely. Ooh. This I did not know about at all. This is really cool.
On it.
Firstly, loot. Of course. So, we've got a war mask. This dark mask appears to be made of wood. It feels like cold metal to the touch. When you put your to your face, you hear the sound of war drums beating in the distance. The mask's face is similar to that of the mechanical men known as Orgolan soldiers, who patrol isolated areas of the Night's World. Their motives are entirely unpredictable, and they are generally viewed as a threat by those who live in the Beyond. Some believe that Orgolian soldiers are following orders that are millions of years old, and a few tribes in the Beyond venerate the creatures as servants of long-dead gods. Okay, the Eyes of the Finite, which is an ornament. Sucker Punch. Attacks deal weapon damage +3 if the target has a negative fettle and convert dazed for 1 round. This small glass plate is fashioned onto a pin, though it can hardly be called a fashion item, as a crowd of otherworldly eyes competes to look out through the glass into the curious world that you inhabit. These eyes reveal weaknesses in foes, especially those already weakened. And
Eritus,
55 shins.
A curious thought occurred to me. You know I've warned you about those. Really, Eritus? Why, yes. I am. I am really Eritus.
Okay, let's
good one.
fiddle with the column.
You know,
This
so
machine
nice to have someone I can talk to.
hums softly. An orange glow appears beneath its dark, glossy surface. A large alien symbol dominates the space, with words in a smaller script on the side. But you cannot understand the writing, even so it feels as though you've seen the writing somewhere before. So let's try and decipher it. After studying the text for several minutes, you begin to see, or perhaps simply remember, patterns in the words. In a flash, the purpose of the device comes back to you. This is an omniscope, a device used to view locations from afar. The large alien symbol is actually an inhuman handprint. The longer list next to it is a list of location names. The shorter list denotes the ranges of time, how back far in time the omniscope should look. You discover you can actually read them all. List the locations. I've got Reef of Fallen Worlds, Caravanserai, yeah. Awesome. Crafton, Bloom. So, leave the current selection. List of approximate times. 3 numbers here. Days, months, years. The numbers are strange, but you're fairly certain you understand their meaning. Selecting one will presumably direct the omniscope to look at that time frame. The current selection is 1, which you mean to be the present. Leave to the current selection. Change readout selections at random. Whoops. Place. As soon as you place your hand on the surface, the machine reacts. The glowing items on the 2 lists blink and draw lines to a rectangle, a view screen that wasn't there before. See the bustling city square near the bottom of the cliffs. People of all types mingle about, show off their wares, or entertain the crowds. The images in the view screen changes rapidly, showing the bustling square over many years. Buildings rise and fall as time passes. One in particular catches your attention. It's built from purple rock and rises perfectly straight, perhaps 50 stories tall. On its side is a magnificent mural of a creature, perhaps a tree or a storm, but you feel certain it's a creature, perhaps the creature, the sorrow that is hunting you. The building stood for centuries before it was torn down. So, look at list of locations. It's currently set to Circus Minor. Leave current selection. And the times is currently set to distant past. So, we can basically cycle through these and look at all of them. I'm going to do that. So, if you're not interested in seeing the info here, then I guess just don't bother. Like, skip to the next episode. Alrighty. Let's see this. Change access to view screen again. Dozens of buildings in the cliffside, many of them hang precariously over the sea below. The image in the view screen changes rapidly, showing the cliffside over many years. The further back in the past you look, the more buildings there are. They've been gradually falling into the sea over many centuries. Above and below there are seaward-facing batteries, defensive weapons that predate the Ninth World. They too collapse into the sea as the years pass. Shortly before the distant past ends, the last of them topples from its perch, leaving the city defenseless. And so, then Reef of Fallen Worlds and view screen. You see the half-sunken buildings and artifacts of the Reef of Fallen Worlds where you crashed into the earth. The image in the view screen changes rapidly, showing the reef over many years. First thing you notice is the construction of a synth dome, the same dome you crashed into when you fell to Earth. A man with a cast-off tattoo works alongside various automatons. The cast-off is wearing tattered leathered robes. An alarming number of wires and tubes protrude from his body. Little else changes until you reach images from many centuries past. Massive war constructs crawl across the reef, firing weapons towards the city above. One of them is struck by a blast from the defensive battery and collapses into the crystalline water. As it settles, you recognize it's back as the place where you met Korra. There's nothing before that assault on the city. Whenever you try to look further in the past, the images loop back to the present and start over. This is all really neat world building stuff. The problem is, of course, that it isn't great streaming or let's playing, but I'm really curious, and one of the things I love about this game and games like it is the amount of time spent on the world. So I want to spend the time on it. It's also why I would really recommend, if you're checking out the game for yourself, you go talk to Artur in the pub, because he also has a bunch of world building stuff, and he's an established character in the tabletop game. He's literally the writer of one of the source books in that fluff. So, yeah. Okay, so view screen. The bright sunlit square is home to many elaborate buildings. A few of these are made of metal and seem to burst forth from the ground itself. In the view screen, over many years, centuries ago, there was some kind of rebellion. It spilled out from the bloom up to the highest parts of Sega's cliffs. Leading the charge is a woman wielding a glowing hammer. She's covered entirely in silver scales. She doesn't even have a face you can see. Her followers are numerous, and the leaders of ancient Segas are quickly killed or subdued. Okay, Government Square, Caravanserai. And view screen. So, Caravanserai. The docks have been a bustling center of trade for as far back in time as you can see. In the earliest recorded time, you can see two figures standing atop this very observation platform, a male and a female. Bright flashes and gouts of smoke suggest a great battle taking place on the cliffs below, until the man activates something on the control panel. A faint veil of energy encircles the city, and the tumult suddenly ends. List of locations. Bloom. And view screen. The city shows the dark chasm that flanks Sega's cliffs on one side. The bottom of the chasm is a carpet of debris that seems to flow like a river from the junkyard from north of the city down to the sea. In the darkest part of the chasm, beneath a cloud of greasy smoke, is a city-sized mass of living flesh, the Bloom. Its name springs readily to mind, plucked from your sized memory. Tubes and tendrils sprout out from the Bloom in 100 directions, many of them attached to the cliffs on either side. For the further into the past you look, the farther north the Bloom is. It looks like it's very slowly moving south over time, less than a finger's length per year, towards the sea. Cool. Now, list of locations. Bloom was the last one, so Crefton, wherever Crefton is. And view screen. The screen shows an area north of Segas, below the crag of the city where the land stretches out to the horizon. Amidst a maze of bluffs and outcroppings is all manner of debris, most of it predating the Ninth World. Metal and synth monoliths rise above a field of scrap. A functioning machine perches on the edge of an enormous pit. Strange plants and vines struggle to reclaim the land. It's even more cluttered and fantastic than the Reef of Fallen Worlds. The image in the view screen changes rapidly, showing the junkyard over many years. Scavengers come and go, the enormous pit grows slowly larger. In the more distant past, a wall stretches across the junkyard, bristling with northward-facing batteries to protect the city from attack. But as time passes, the wall is abandoned, the batteries crumble into ruin, and the whole structure is subsumed beneath the surrounding trash. And Garavia sound. View the screen. The screen shows a vast sea to the south. 2 peninsulas embrace the waters for many kilometers, and the sea stretches out to the horizon. A long time ago, the cliffside had a defensive battery built into the rock. All of these have collapsed or fallen into ruin. An enormous martelling whale glides into the bay with a small village built on its back. Before it can reach the cliffs, the batteries thunder into life, destroying the whale and the entire village. Okay, now, we need to go back to start, and then change the times. We'll look at recent past. You touch the number, and it glows bright on the others, yep. And view screen. So, Reef of Fallen Worlds. Most interesting occurrence in this time frame is when you fell. There's a bright flash. You see Alagon and Calistige watching the skies. Then Alagon twists his hands in the air, sending multicolored energy up into the sky. Seconds later, a white streak encased in the same energy slams into the crystal dome at the edge of the reef. Okay, and then we have Circus Minor. View screen. See vibrant parade. In the center is a man bound in chains. You can tell he's walking to his death. Alistair and Calistige pass conferring quietly as they make their way to the steps that lead to the reef. And Guild Square. A pale woman with yellow hair stands in front of a magical gateway. Occasionally you see children enter or exit the portal, and never the same child twice. I love the way that, like, all of the quests and things kind of, or some of them, come up as we go through all of these. Okay, then we want Cliff's Edge. View screen again. Dozens of buildings are built in, yeah. Buildings collapse in the sea quickly, as if something were undermining them. Weeks and days, right, yeah. So it's also the scale that we're looking at. And then we already did Government Square, so Caravanserai. And view screen. You catch a glimpse of a woman with purple hair and slow the images down to watch. She stands near the entrance of the hostel, speaking to the proprietress. After a moment, she embraces a woman and hurries off towards the docks. The woman's hair seems to move of its own accord. She's almost certainly the woman that Omadon described. And then keep going. Government Square, Bloom. Yeah, Bloom we haven't done. And view screen. Yep. The Bloom sees a lot of diverse traffic, merchants, refugees, and the destitute. A number of shady figures enter and exit, mostly through stone gatehouses, partially subsumed within the mass of flesh. Not a single levy or Segas official seems to travel there. Then Crefton. Yep, junkyard. Scavengers come and go, and a small campfire catches your eye. An oddity in the junkyard. Rin's small figure hunches over it. She looks scared. Okay, and then Garavia sound. Yep, the sea. Strange ships come and go, both sea and air, bringing trade goods from places you cannot see beyond the horizons. And then change to the present. And one last go through the listed locations. Reef of Fallen Worlds. Very few of the scavengers troll the reef. Perhaps they believe there's nothing more to be found, or perhaps out of fear. And then the crowd surrounding the execution is dispersed. Government Square? Yes. No, Cliff's Edge. Well, yes. People in this area are for the most part rough and bitter. They don't live on the edge by choice. So yeah, this is giving us the least interesting stuff, really. Government Square. people here shine as much. Yeah. So it's just the same stuff. List of locations. Caravanserai. We can see ourselves, I hope. Looks exactly the same before you. It's like, hey, dude, you're here. You're looking at the present. I mean, what are you expecting? Bloom. A number of scavengers... merchants and other figures travel along Bloom's tendrils. The stone gatehouse, yeah, we already saw that. A number of scavengers sift through the debris outside the Bloom, tossing most of what they find back into one of the Bloom's many orifices. Then locations... Crefton. View screen. Yeah, we already saw that. Scavengers wander the maze, not all of them human. They pick out whatever Numenera and scraps they can find. View screen, no, sorry. List of locations, and Garavia Sound, and view screen, and then the sea's placid. A small number of ships ply the harbour seeking fish or sunken artifacts. There we go. And this is the view screen. Holographic map appears to be a part of a control interface. In the center is what looks like a utility map of Sega's Cliffs, surrounded by a number of symbols you can't immediately identify. In the upper right quadrant is some cube within a cube. Strange as the panel is, you can't shake a strong sense of familiarity about it. So let's do that. What's familiar? A memory emerges as clear as if it were happening to you right now. You're at a cracked door at the base of the stairwell. The door squeaks quietly as you ease it open. Your breath catches in your throat, but the Tabat soldiers outside don't notice you. You squeeze through the door, a keen-eyed young girl behind you, and slip out of the tower into the blood-stained corridor and into the city. The city's under attack. You dash through the streets to the nearest of your generators. Pressing a couple of buttons, you and the girl are teleported elsewhere. This is literally part of that tutorial memory sting. This is what we got. You find yourself in front of the very same control panel at the top of the cliff. With quick movements, you shift the Tesseract, slipping the controls from space to time. Then you press the cluster of the stars to connect the network of temporal shield generators. On the map, the network of generators bursts to life, sharing energy across the city to create an enormous shield over all of Sega's Cliffs. The dome of energy fills the sky, unmooring the city from time itself. On the other side of the shield, the world shifts and shimmers, objects and landscapes appearing and disappearing before your eyes. The place is the same, you realize, you're seeing it in many different time periods at once. The important thing is no one can enter or exit the dome while the city is temporally unmoored. That should buy the city's defenders the space they need to fight off the Tabat and survive. The memory fades, you stand above the caravanserai again. The interface is the same as the one from your memory, and you understand what at least some of the controls do. So let's try and understand those things. The panels appear to monitor and maintain the networks of machines. So the purpose of those machines is still a mystery. Some probably activates a single location, like this platform, while the cluster of stars attempts to connect the entire network. The triangle of eyes is to inspect something, maybe the status of the network. The crystal lattice you think indicates repairs. It would probably light up if it were needed. So, what happens? Let's inspect the current network by pressing the eyes. So, the map changes color, each of the bright points lights up in turn, occasionally stretching a faded line from one point to the other. After a minute of this, the map fades. A voice speaks the truth directly into your mind. Temporal network connections limited. Please repair the network. The crystal lattice next in the map lights up. Okay. Repair the network using the crystal lattice. Again, the map lights up and changes colors. The lines between each point grow and fade. Some of them grow solid and then disappear. Others have gaps in them and never light up at all. After several minutes, the activity ceases. The voice speaks to you again. Could not restore network. Temporal connections have deteriorated beyond repair. Please consult System Conservator immediately. You can't raise the shield again like in your memory, but the network had once had another purpose. In the memory, you used the Tesseract to shift the controls from time to space. Perhaps if you shifted it back. Okay, let's do that. As soon as you touch it, the impossible cubes shift and move with your fingers. It seems to snap into two different states. With unfamiliar gestures, you rotate the Tesseract. The inner cube squeezes out and becomes the outer cube, while the outer cube becomes the inner one. Some of the lights locations on the map change. Among other locations, two lights appear in Caravanserai, one marking the platform you're standing on. The outer cube moves in space, no longer flickering as it was before. Presumably, the controls are now set to the spatial dimension. Inspect the network. Spatial network connections limited. Please repair the network. Okay, repair the network. Again, the map lights up and changes colors. Lines appear between each point. Some are faded, while others have gaps in them. One by one, each line becomes brighter and better connected to the rest. After several minutes, the map shows a network of points. The control panel ceases its activity, and the voice speaks to you again. Spatial network restored. Connection procedure may now proceed. Okay, and with that, we will leave it for here. And next time, we will explore this network further. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you spending the time and effort watching the videos I make. If you'd like to watch more, on the left there should be another video from this playlist. On the right there will be whatever YouTube recommends. And in the center there is a convenient subscribe button, just in case you need it.